we go. We're there. Hey, everybody.
Hey. Here we are.
Sorry for the little bit of lag there. For some reason, my hard drives, they like to turn off if they're not doing anything, even though I'm running a stream for an entire day. That's doing something. So whatever. Anyway, we're here with Eric Carrasco. He's a guy with long hair. That's about all you need to know about him. He's the writer of Justice League vs. Fatal 5. He is a writer on Supergirl. He is a writer on Justice League Action. He's working on the upcoming Kevin Smith Masters of the Universe show, which we are all very much looking forward to and hope that we get a cameo appearance in. And welcome, Eric.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, pretty good. How are you
Thanks for
today?
coming back.
You're 3 hours deep into this already? Or
Just about, yeah.
Nice. Get coffee.
Yeah, I have a lot of coffee and snacks and all sorts of stuff sitting next to me here that I will be hopefully not running out of, but you never know.
I have to run. Might have to hit pause. How's it been going so far? Who's been on?
Good. We've had Ewan Patterson from What Culture. He was on here a minute ago. And then we also did a pre-recorded segment with Tim Levins and Scott Peterson. Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. Scott Peterson went into a lot of history at his the time he spent at the DC offices.
Yes.
Like creating Bane and doing a
meeting Denny O'Neil and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
It was great.
Rest in peace.
Oh, someone says, that's why there's that Skeletor reference. Except I'm pretty sure that was a Bruce Timm line.
It was not me. It was not me. Bruce Timm can see the future, apparently.
Yeah.
I think he said it in the when we were recording the commentary track. He mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh, that's where that came from," because I really liked it. I was like, hey, me.
Written by 99% written.
Which, speaking of, like, it seems like since the last time we've spoke to you, you have gotten a friendship going with Kevin Smith, right? You, like, on top of doing the Masters of the Universe thing. You were also in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, my feature film debut.
You are a part of the View Askew universe now.
Yes.
I'm canonically a Ride Me Now driver. And I will say that scene was, I mean, it was a trip because I called Kevin. There was something in the news about Jay and Silent Bob. And I texted him Godspeed, on his first day of shooting or something. And he was like, you got to get down here. You got to get down here. Get down here Thursday. And it was Monday or Tuesday. And I was like, you know what? Sure. And I was like, I'll go. And I was kind of thought it was a set visit at first. And then he was like, no, you're going to be in it. And they took me through wardrobe and stuck me in a car.
Were you already working on Masters of the Universe with him? Is that why you knew each other?
No, we've known each other for a long time because of Supergirl.
That's right. That
he directed one of my very early episodes. I think my second Supergirl he directed, and we just had the best time ever. And so then I did 2 more with him,
Nice.
and then I think Masters was right around that time, maybe just after I shot the Jay and Silent Bob thing. But that was Kevin on set was it feels like. It's the end of Big Fish, and just all of my friends and everybody I've ever known have come to say hi to me and hang out on this. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if you want the ending from Big Fish, but, but he was but everybody you'd ever, Mark Bernardin's in there in a little cameo. There's, Chris Wood and Jesse Rath from Supergirl get a cameo. Melissa Benoist gets a huge cameo.
Yeah, she got to be
a bad word.
Blunt Man, I think it was.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting.
So that was fun, and then we kind of rolled right into Masters of the Universe.
I like how whenever I Google pictures of you for these sorts of things to put on promotional stuff, and besides your very small Twitter profile pictures, most of the pictures that show up for the actual you and not the soccer player or whoever it is are
my Belgian nemesis who plays professional soccer.
Are you with Kevin Smith in some sort of fashion, either at a premiere or at just hanging out or whatever? And I always have to I don't want to crop out Kevin Smith. I have to.
A little bit of, I need a headshot at some point.
Yes.
It feels
there you go.
It feels like such an ordeal, and I'm not going to do it now.
Wait till you can get the ponytail going.
Right, I need a whole. I said I was growing it out and aiming for Revenge of the Sith, Anakin.
There you go. So that you can lie on the ground and go, I hate you.
Yeah, I think by the time this is done, this is going to be Qui-Gon, I think. All the way into on the back.
You got to get the little,
Man with the beard.
little tiny, swifty beard going on.
Yeah. Come on.
Do you know when Masters of the Universe has a release date?
Doesn't.
Has that been announced?
Well,
No.
it might, and I don't know it, but as far as I know, they haven't said yet.
I thought I saw it on Netflix the other day. I was scrolling through. I was like, "Is it out?" But it was the toy documentary.
Yeah, there's a second show
that's what I
coming
saw.
out too. I
Tricked me.
think that's not your guys' show. It's like a different. It's like a more anime one or something like that. Yeah.
There is a CGI,
Yeah.
and we're the 2D animation one.
Yeah, every time that I have to that I want to promote that, I have to. Oh, is this the right one? Yes. Okay.
It feels like I don't know for sure, but it feels like theirs is like hey, let's bring new kids into He-Man and Masters of the Universe, and ours is were you already a fan? Did you watch the classic stuff? Well, then we can do a little bit more of that for you. And so like you can watch it without having seen the old series or read any shred of He-Man, but it's like that ours is kind of for the fans.
Yeah, I definitely watched the. There was a 2003 or something one on Toonami that Justice League would come on, and then I'd watch that right afterward. But I'm of course. I'm not as familiar with the original. Only I'm more familiar with the meme song on YouTube than I am with the actual.
Right. Yeah. Which is a classic. It's an internet classic from a time. For a time in the internet.
Is
Uh,
that true?
I can't wait till the bars are open again so I can go karaoke that because that had been my go-to song. Not the meme version, but just the regular original. I'm frozen?
Yeah.
We can hear you though.
But you're just you're a good little profile pic here.
That's weird because you're all frozen to me.
You're back.
Adjust the meme.
Oh hey.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Yep.
Like a Comic-Con exclusive.
I have the handsome Squidward from that same line. So.
Well, I know that the majority of our audience is here for the DC stuff. And Masters of the Universe, I am very excited for it. Right? I love Kevin Smith. I love you, but you did mention on Twitter the other day. You made a joke about a Shining Knight DCAU pitch. Was there more to that than a joke?
Oh, it was not just a joke. I really do have a pitch for a Shining Knight show from way back in the day before I even worked on Supergirl. But it was live action. I wanted to do live action Shining Knight and the kind of medieval side of the DC universe because there's a lot of them actually.
Have you been watching Stargirl?
I fell behind. I watched the first couple Stargirl, and through no fault of the show, which I liked very much, I hadn't kept up with it. How's it going?
I was just gonna say there is
he
live
shows
action
up,
Shining Knight, and it's one of the more
it's one of the coolest things that happened in that show.
Yep.
I saw the lineup of the JSA all together it's so cool.
Yeah, Shining Knight shows up in a way you may not expect, so I would recommend.
I fell off of it after the first couple episodes as well, and then just gave myself some breathing room, went back to it, and it's a great show.
Yeah, I thought so too. It wrapped up well.
I feel like I don't know. I like those ones. I like those the hopeful shows and the ones that are just no, we're just doing the comics. We don't have to update
the dark and
I saw that photo and I was like, oh yeah, it's just all the content from the comics.
Luke Wilson is a great Stripe. He was pretty perfectly cast, I thought.
It's actually kind of, I consider Luke Wilson to be actually one of the worst actors in the show. All the children are better actors than Sorry, Luke Wilson, if you're for some reason watching this.
Oh, we're going to get nasty letters from Luke Wilson.
No, I said nothing. Remember, they said it, not from the Luke Wilson stands.
Well, we've got a couple questions from the live chat. One that just got highlighted, so I might as well read it off. We will quiz you on the biggest question of them all. This is from Blaze Wolf. How is Hal Jordan canon to the DC animated universe? We've already made a video explaining this.
Everyone on this channel has already explored this more than I have.
But don't tell us your headcanon, because then it will overwrite everything that we've done.
It's a mind bender, though.
I wrote something in the script. I think I might have said this in the previous interview with you guys. I just wrote something in the script that was like, it's a hall in which we see many different lanterns from many different worlds and times and comics. And I really, when you have art teams this good, you don't necessarily need to or want to be super prescriptive in terms of like, oh, you see this, this, this. You don't really need to list them because they have fun figuring that stuff out, and then just warning you guys with costume variations or different models or whatever.
Yeah.
We have what, like 3 different Matter Eater lads in the DCEU now?
That's right.
I mean, I was just happy they didn't use
Kilowoggs.
Yeah, because of Kilowog's Green Lantern the Animated Series design, I was just happy that somehow someone working on the art team for the movie went like, oh, no, there is already a Hal Jordan in the DCAU, you have to use that one, and didn't just completely blow everything up.
Yeah. They could have kept going. I love how the Lantern animated series Kilowog looks in 2D in ours. Like, I think it really, like, it's very clean. I think the model looks really good. I prefer it to the previous.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I went back and like I actually finally watched the Lantern animated series. Like the first month of quarantine or something, and I kept getting to parts where I was like, "Oh, that's the thing from Fatal 5."
Yeah,
that's the assets in the background and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our Oa is there.
job,
Oa.
Rob.
It's a really good show, by the way. I don't know if it's still on sale, but it was on sale for like $5 on Amazon and iTunes. So if anybody watching this has not seen that show, it's real good.
Yeah, that was a pretty recent. It was like $4.99, and you go grab
recent.
it. Yeah. There's another question from Danny Boy. He asks, or she, where are the Teen Titans in the DCAU at the moment of Fatal 5? I'm going to expand on that by asking, in your head, do you think Miss Martian was involved with the Teen Titans of the DCAU?
Well, here's the thing. I actually don't think so in my head, because I don't want to take anything away from the Batman Miss Martian mentor relationship. She's kind of filling a void for him and vice versa. And so, like, I'm sure that at some point she's going to get invited to the clubhouse, but you know, at the end of the movie, she's getting voted on bigly. So
yeah, I figured if she has to try that hard to get into the Justice League, but Supergirl is just like, come on. That's not.
There's nothing. The Teen Titans is
nepotism.
It's a great resource. We love the Teen Titans when the Justice League is not available. They are great.
Good
you
job,
want them in a
Robin.
pinch. But I think if you can be on the Justice League, you know, you're gonna go.
Danny Buckle, he says, so I'm a pretty big fan of the Fatal 5 as a team. I think they're really underrated and always love to see them pop up in non-comic media. Who is your favorite member of the team and why?
I'm just gonna take it as characters and not. I think all the performances in the movie are really great. I really love Emerald Empress in the movie, but I think overall in the comics, I've always gravitated toward Mono. I've had many disagreements with whether or not it's Mano or Mono.
Yeah.
Because he's got a hand, right?
I'm like,
On
it's a hand,
Yeah.
so it's Mono.
Yeah.
It's pronounced Mono.
And it's a Hispanic actor doing the voice. So yeah.
Yes,
He
that's
seems to be
why
a man. So
Mano. Despero. Mano.
It was written into the script, I think, that at least at one point, that it was like, we're looking for Javier Bardem and No Country for Old Men here.
Yeah.
Just quiet and seething and intimidating and very, very scary. And that is kind of how I think because of his name, I think I always read him with a bit of a Latin accent, and I wanted to see him that way. I wanted to hear him that way. It was obviously important to me with Jessica and other characters in the
Yeah.
So it was cool to hear him sound like that, definitively say this is how we pronounce his name. So I would go with him.
Yeah.
Although I love the Persuader's axe. So
I was going to say, I like how he and Persuader both have to be like so meticulously animated because you never see their mouths move. You just have to see, they have to animate themselves by moving around. Yeah.
it's really like a good like test of like, you know, Sam and the, you know, artists lighting stuff, because like lighting and shadow and stuff is how they're telling that story, since you can't see the emotion on the faces as much. But I think the other reason I'll say it's Mono is he is kind of, he feels a little bit like a Batman the Animated Series villain, because there's like a tragedy to him and a flaw to him that he has this hand that can do anything, but it cannot love, it cannot touch. And so it feels kind of like
he's Mr. Freeze in the future.
Or King
it's
Midas,
a little bit
right?
Heart of Ice. It's a little bit, Feet of Clay. It's a little bit animated.
A little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Exactly. It's Donnie. It's Marie. It's the whole thing.
So I'm
missed
seeing one that James missed.
What?
Is it BTAS lover Greg is asking?
Oh yeah.
A question we know the answer to, but you asked us not to share. I don't know if it's a shareable answer now. He wants to know what's Miss Martian's backstory.
And if you don't want to say, we understand.
I had, because I'm me, I had a very elaborate backstory for how everybody got to where they are, either from the end of Justice League Unlimited, kind of, even before we knew it was for sure going to look like Justice League Unlimited. I was going to make it in my head, Justice League and DCAU canon. So so I was like working toward that anyway, and I had all these elaborate backstories in my head. And one of the problems is, no real white Martians in the DCAU. So I looked at a bunch of other Martians that are out there because, it wasn't all confined to Mars, let's say. There's lots of stories with space stations and Saturn and all sorts of places that have Martians. And so I would love to do something with it in the future. So I'm not going to say the whole thing that's in my head, but there's Martians all over the solar system, not just Mars. And Miss Martian's origin in my head that Warner Brothers has never paid me to share. Disclaimer, this is just me. Miss Martian's backstory in my head has something to do with that.
Yes, very elaborately vague of you. Thank you.
I've made
much.
it more confusing now.
No, we can extrapolate off very little though.
Yeah.
Like we're doing a video here pretty soon all about the Ranthanagar War as hinted in the Fatal Five movie. So is there anything more you can share with us about that?
Nope.
Why do we even have you here?
Which means you heard it here first. JL reunion's happening, and it's the Ranthanagar War, and that's why he can't tell us.
Comicbook.com. It's definitely happening.
We got this covered.
Yeah,
we got this covered.
Cosmic Book News.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never Cosmic Book News.
CBR.
Save yourselves.
CBR does like to take what we've said and run with it.
Yeah.
So.
I love the episodes in Justice League involving Thanagar. I love, the tragedy of Hawk Girl, and I love the Shayera Jon Stewart relationship. And so I thought, okay, well, we've got this big conflict in DC Comics, the Ranthanagar War. I like that arc in the comics. And we needed something for the purposes of the movie that the rest of the, Seven and anybody else from Justice League Unlimited were off dealing with. And that felt of a scale that was big enough to take a bunch of leaders away. And so I was imagining that the Ranthanagar from the comics, more or less, was happening in the DCAU, and that Shayera and John were at the forefront of that conflict. And I felt like that was a good way to explore their relationship post Justice League Unlimited, because it's what happened. There were complications. There was Mari, there are different things going on in their lives. So it was just to explore them.
Ted talking about taking very little and extrapolating for everything. It's like, you told us, okay, John and Shayera are there. John Jones is probably there, and then I was going to put Vixen in it, and that's all we have to go off of basically. And so we read through Ted had read it before. Yeah, we read through all of the Adam Strange Planet heists. We read all the way through the original Ranthanagar War and a handful of Infinite Crisis spin-offs that came out of it, and just I listed it out as if it was a Willet canon. Okay, pretend this was written to be in the DCAU, and what doesn't work and what does work really well and all this stuff. And then there were just little things.
Great video.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I have my pitch at the end of the video for what it could look like, which of course would mean that me pitching it would mean it would never look like that, or else you'd have to pay me. So
now it can't.
Exactly.
That's what we would have done though, right? If we had decided to do it. I also don't think that that's one thing that if called upon to expand the Fatal 5 movie that like I would have loved to have done or would still love to do if Warner Brothers is on the stream, please call me. But like, you know, if there were to be anything more in the DCEU or in a sequel to this movie or anything like that, it's not going to be here's what was happening just off screen during Fatal 5, almost certainly. Yeah. So I feel like that's
stuff that we care more about than most people. So
I'd like to see an original story anyway for like the Justice League reunion, something.
Yeah, I feel like that's not something that you'd end up doing for one of these DTVs anyway. So.
And it'd be happening like at the same time as that movie, and so we'd have to figure out all the different stuff. Okay, now why isn't Jessica Cruz in this movie? Well, she's doing everything else.
They'd come back and they'd be like, "Oh, we did this incredibly high stakes like mission during the Grand Thanagar War," and they'd be like, "Well, the sun almost blew up." Well,
excuse me. We had a planet teleport into our atmosphere. The sun almost blew up.
It's like it's actually pretty dangerous. That's like the Zeppo episode of Buffy, where like it is apparent, like while Xander's off doing his very very low stakes small mission by himself, he comes back and Buffy's like, saved the entire universe, and it's one of like the biggest things she's ever done. You didn't get to see it. It's great.
Yep. We got the Crimson Tie. He and a handful of other people were asking before we jumped on the call about Reverse Flash. Do you have any thoughts on like if you were giving the reins to put him into the DCAU, since we don't really have a Barry Allen, how might you integrate him?
Right. Well, what a fun thought.
Right on the spot, just figure it out right now.
Well, there's a lot of Flash comics I like, but for me now, weirdly, and it's not just because I worked upstairs from them, I really now hear Reverse Flash and think of the Flash CW version of it, and it's so good that I feel like that is a pretty good template to follow in terms of what to do with him. But like we said, there's no Barry, so I feel this is kind of a core thing. So he could really be obsessed with Wally.
Well, I was just gonna say there's a guy at the police station that Wally works at that looks a lot like he could be a Barry Allen, that didn't actually become the Flash or something like that. So maybe the Reverse Flash really wants to be
his uncle.
Yeah, maybe Reverse Flash just really wants to be as good of a forensic scientist as this guy, and becomes reverse forensic scientist.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I will say something that we found out recently from someone who didn't want their name to be revealed. But apparently, Flashpoint Paradox was going to be at one point starting in the DCAU universe.
Holy smokes!
And then jumping over. So,
like the intro scene with the rogues and the bombs that they all have.
We would have had a Reverse Flash there, but I think the decision was ultimately James Tucker was just like, no, I don't want to do that to that universe.
Oh yeah, to like give it erase it or anything.
Yeah. Right. Because I mean, then that would effectively take Batman Beyond out of it
that you spent 25 years on.
Right.
And, more now. By the way, I mean that's assuming that the Flash that appears in Superman the Animated Series is. You've done a video on this.
Yes.
That's assuming that's not Barry Allen like I pretended it was for years and years.
Yeah,
well,
you're wrong.
What? The video that we did on that, our big piece of evidence was the bio from the old Superman the Animated Series website. Right. Someone pointed out to us recently that a lot of those were taken from a Who's Who in the DCU book. So that might not have been the intention.
Like word for word, they just
Batman one for sure. Because the Batman one references the Reaper from Batman Year 2, and so did the website.
So it's very possible that maybe it could have been intended to be Barry, but it's just retcon.
I think it's a new video.
Yeah, there you
We
go.
keep having to update our video. Like we just recently, you were so happy to find out that Mystery of the Batwoman happens during Justice League versus the Fatal Five, and then we realized maybe a month ago, someone pointed out to us, I think it was someone talking to Jay's reviews about it, that there is a computer screen on the back computer in the movie that lists the date of birth and ages for 2 of the 3 Batwomen, putting the movie actually 2 years before Justice League versus the Fatal Five. And so we're now like, oh my god, like we have to.
So now the
do an
plasma
entire video.
cannon doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter anyway because Alan has given you the gift of this new Batman comic.
Right. Yes. Have you
Uh,
been watching our coverage of that
I've
at
been
all?
watching your frustration.
Yes, thank you.
Keep building.
We got
From
the new
his
issue came
retirement,
out.
he's just clubbing golf balls.
Right. Jason Todd, whatever. Yeah.
My biggest upset has been about the Mr. Freeze situation there, because I love Nora, and I was reading recently the writer who wrote the last of the Batman adventures that she shows up in was talking about how he felt that because of how they set up, how much Freeze loves Nora, that she needed to be her own character so that we could see why that love existed. And it got back into Deanie and Alan's hands, and they were just like, fuck it. He just loves her.
It's not
right.
It's like I keep saying, there's still 2 more chapters.
That's true. Yeah.
I love those guys. I love Alan. He's the reason all this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, for sure. Like they're fantastic, but fantastic doesn't mean infallible.
I think it's just coming. I mean, Alan especially just loves to be like, let's just do it. It's good. Like,
Yeah.
and because I'll sit there spinning out, right? And they're like, yeah, but that doesn't work. What if it's too complicated? Like, and he's like, you know what?
It's comics.
And he did the Act 3 was even crazier than what you saw in the movie, like the big fight scene and stuff originally, and not in a good way. Like it was chaos. Like the same stuff happened, but it just was such a mess. And I was like, I don't know, it'll never make the time limit that we have in these movies and stuff. And Alan and Jim did a thing, and it came back to me, and I couldn't remember what was missing, but it was so much better and cleaner, and suddenly it all made sense. And I was just like, that's the power of Alan especially, is to sit very quietly while everybody else talks and spins out and pitches ideas and counter pitches and confuses themselves, and then he lets you go wild for 20 minutes, and then he goes, well, what if we just did this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's easy. So,
Yeah, that's much better.
he's just a born storyteller.
We got Rockman X94 asks, hey Eric, what bat suit from the DCAU is your favorite?
I've gone on record saying it's the yellow bat. As
That one just showed back up again.
It did, yeah.
In the Adventures.
my real answer is I like the new Batman Adventures suit. I like the black on gray better than the oval, but I like the ears a little shorter, I think, than the Justice League bat. If I had to pick one.
It's the closest to Ben Affleck, so I understand what.
Yeah,
and he's in the Kevin Smith. That's what I was trying. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of. We don't have to talk about Masters, and in fact, I have nothing I'm allowed to say.
Right,
But we did
I'm
announce
sure.
the cast, and there's a lot of DCAU crossover.
Yeah, there really is.
That's
That's part of the reason I'm looking forward to it so much.
Yeah.
Susan Eisenberg.
We got Susan Eisenberg.
Wasn't Mark Hamill, I think,
Mark
attached?
Hamill, Skeletor.
That's right.
Oh man,
Mhm.
I'm
That'd
looking
be
forward
awesome.
to that.
Great.
Let's see. Add One Only asks, hey Eric, if you had the chance to produce a new DCAU show or movie, who would you pick it to be based around? Then they put a qualifier, and if it were the JL, which villain would it be? I feel like they might want to know the villain even if it wasn't the JL. So
It's a Shining Knight show.
Shoot your shot. Tell us the pitch. That way you can't use it anymore.
There's no way I'm telling you a full pitch. I would like to. I've said this many times. I have sat with Susan and been like, I want to do this. I want
So it's Wonder Woman.
I want to help continue Justice League in some way, but I would really want to focus in on Wonder Woman. The only it was for the best, but the only kind of heartbreaking thing that fell out of Justice League Fatal 5 before everybody saw it was this really nice Wonder Woman plot. So, I think she's great in the movie. She has a lot to do. She has a great relationship with Jessica, but she had a whole thing unto herself. And I would love to just really focus in on the Susan Eisenberg Wonder Woman. And
you can't, because the last panel we did was a choose your own adventure book based around Wonder Woman, and we ended it with her losing her powers.
Yeah,
so
she just gave up.
She's off the table.
Yeah.
Powers.
At one point, that was sort of going to happen in Justice League Fatal 5. So
interesting.
Yeah. Could we talk about that one? We can talk about that one now.
Yeah.
The Wonder Woman thing was going to be because everybody was dealing with time and the future, and we had these bad guys who would come back from the future. And so I thought, okay, well, Wonder Woman has some characters who can actually see the future. So she met with the Fates, and the Fates were like, hey, all the gods and Greek mythology people, we're leaving. We're gonna go, and you should come with us. And Wonder Woman was sort of like, well, I can't. I have to save the world. Like, we can save it. And she's like, no, you don't understand. It's not that we've seen that the future is bad. It's that we've seen the future is erased. There is no more future. So we're going to go to like a different dimension and we'll be right back. You should come with us. If not, your stuff's going to stop working. Your bracelet, your lasso, and all your cool stuff, it's going to stop working. And so it was kind of like exploring a crisis of Wonder Woman's faith when she, of course, chooses to stay, and whether or not her gear was going to work, and then showing that she's Wonder Woman without the gear, right? That she doesn't need it in the end.
So when does the extended Crossbow cut?
Yeah.
We're getting the Snyder cut.
The novelization can have all of this stuff in it.
Right. We'll do the whole. I used to really love novelizations for all the deleted scenes, or just for like the Batman No Man's Land novelization rules. But yeah, let's do it. We'll do a quick novelization. We'll knock that one out. We'll show you everything you didn't see in the movie. I would do either a Wonder Woman-centric Justice League to actually answer the question, or I gotta go Lex Luthor on the villain. I as much as I want to show people something they haven't seen before, Lex Luthor's maybe my favorite DC Comics character.
You
just want to bring Clancy Brown back in.
I love Clancy Brown. What a
Great
voice!
performance.
All the Greek gods can try to leave this dimension, but then the Source Wall is there, and Lex Luthor is part of it. And he's like, "Stop! You can't go this way."
I ate the Source Wall, and now I'm very powerful.
Yes. I've been up here for 3,000 years, chewing away one bite at a time.
How do you eat an elephant? How do you eat a Source Ball? One bite at a time.
All right, we got Radical Meatballs 9. It says, were there other choices for those who were in the Justice League team for Fatal 5? By the way, love your writing.
Oh, thank you. There were endless choices, but the roster you see in the movie is the first roster that I pitched. So,
well, Mr. Terrific was in your childhood fan fiction, so you had to throw him in.
We had to have Mr. Terrific and those teeth years. I think I've said this before too, but the Trinity was mandated, and I would have wanted them anyway, right? So you had Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman going in. I knew I wanted to center the story. I think Starboy came first because we knew who the villains were. So I was like, okay, we got time traveling Legion of Superheroes villains. Let's do time traveling Legion of Superheroes character. And then knowing that through Starboy, we were going to have this conversation about mental health and healing and, heroes.
But goddamn, that's like my favorite thing in the movie is that y'all tackled that. You don't see that a lot in cartoons for kids. And I feel like
of all the places to do it, this feels like the one. It's a thing that reaches kids. It's something about heroes and how heroes can come from many different places. And so much of it is, that's one reason that Arkham in the Fatal 5 movie looks a little different than the very extremely gothic, scary, Lovecrafty sort of Gotham in previous iterations and in the comics.
The
And
Burton-y looking one.
yeah,
Right.
there sometimes are and it's, it's just the way it's been for so long. There are sometimes these Batman stories in particular where it's like you're supposed to root against you're supposed to think, oh, these villains, they're trying to get out of Blackgate. They're trying to insanity plea so that they get to go to Arkham because Arkham's a revolving door, and we let these. And it feels very stigmatizing to me, where it's like a lot of these people are very ill and need a little bit of help. And so we're just like, let's try and do like an Arkham that looks like you haven't seen it before. But there are, it's also a little dangerous to do sometimes because it's superheroes. So you're dealing in metaphors and really extreme situations. So like, we wanted Starboy to sacrifice himself, but we didn't want to at all make it feel like he was depressed in the process,
Right.
or that it was a self-harming thing. It was a heroic sacrifice.
Yeah.
But because you're dealing with these
He's a
crazy
superhero.
out there things, and what heroes do, all the situations are really extreme. So you also have to be careful you don't accidentally, tell the wrong story and do something harmful when you're trying to do good.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a very tiptoey topic, but you guys pulled it off very well.
Yeah, I don't think any of us could have done it better.
Yeah. And that's saying something.
Really important themes. And the new Arkham in itself is a little continuity nod to Return of the Joker.
Right, yep.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone
New
had asked
facility.
a minute ago if in the movie you considered Two-Face to still be the judge from the end of the Batman cartoon, but I would guess no, because like he's getting help. He's getting the help he needs.
I think Harvey is
not
so
Justice
close in Fatal 5.
Yeah.
I think he's so close, and I just wish Harvey the best. I believe in Harvey.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's perfect. Oh, man. Blaze Wolf again, he asks, so here's another one where was the rest of the Justice League? We already talked about that. Wouldn't Adam be able to stop the sun compared to Starboy? I guess. I don't know. Dwarf Star stuff is maybe what he's
Yes,
talking about.
because he
Or Captain Adam, maybe.
when he. No, I think Starboy is really. He's your
Yeah.
guy. He's your guy for holding the sun together.
It's okay. Even if he could, he's probably just out there on Rand Thanagar
Right.
It's true.
with them all.
It was
Anyway,
very important. They had to bring Adam. They were like, we really got.
Yeah.
We have a keyhole that needs unlocking.
Yeah, I like how this
Now-
would be like at the 11th hour of the movie, and they're like, just go get Ray Palmer for no reason and pull him in. He can fix it.
I did write his tiny, which again is
Pun
Justice
intended.
League action, but I did write a little Adam gets called into the Justice League episode of Justice League Action.
Yep.
It was one of the 2-minute shorts, and that was an Alan Burnett idea too. So
now speaking about the sun, I don't remember if we mentioned this the last time we spoke, because that was like a year and a half ago. There is a Superman Adventures comic
Mhm.
that is set 30 years before Batman Beyond, right? Whereas usually Batman Beyond's 40 years in the future. So we have
Or
to assume
50
that this is like, we have to assume
From
the
wherever now
Superman
is.
Adventures comic is like 10 years out from like Superman and Justice League Unlimited and all that, where he throws a nuke into the sun.
Quest for Peace style.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is it seems Superman forgot Starboy though.
Obviously, you didn't consider Superman Adventures 64 as canon to Justice League versus the Fatal.
Where Brainiac takes over Terry McGinnis's suit
It's one
It
of
was
those-
as he
all on
travels back in
purpose.
time.
It was all on purpose. We definitely thought that. And we just thought, Superman, here's the thing about Superman, right? Like, he believes the best in people, that people can take it. And so he just knew Starboy was strong enough to take that nuke.
Or did Starboy get out of the sun?
That could be.
Good
Look,
hope.
if you want your sequel, he's actually like, I'm all right.
Yeah, he eats
ate
the
the
sun. He becomes the sun eater. Yeah. The third Nibbles asks, Brainy is going to regrow his hair back to mullet length? You can only assume.
Well, he had mullet, and then he had, when in Justice League Unlimited, he has like cool guy cropped hair when he's like voiced by Matt Sukri, right? And now he's shaved his head. He's just going through quarantine hair stages.
I've been feeling like he's following the Nightwing patterns of hair, right? Because Nightwing started with a mullet, and then Batman and Harley Quinn, he
Getting
has
shorter.
the similar
Nightwing's
So
gonna be
now
bald.
I'm just concerned that Nightwing's going to go bald.
Batman and
He
Beyond,
already
definitely.
is. Yeah, yeah, we should make our Legacies Batman Beyond era Nightwing be completely
Now,
bald.
No hair.
M9 Champ asks, what is your favorite type of taco?
Favorite type of taco? I like. This is gonna be. I will say mushroom taco, which is not a normal answer. I am not quite vegetarian, but I don't eat very much meat, and so mushroom tacos are delicious. But there's a very couple specific mushroom tacos here in LA, where land of tacos, where they just crush a mushroom taco.
Are they
They're
like
the
sliced
hallucinogenic mushrooms, right?
Yeah, shroom taco, obviously.
Are
Yeah,
they
yeah.
like sliced mushrooms or
we
like
call these-
entire mushrooms?
We call these
Yeah,
tricky
they're-
tacos.
They're the little,
That's
I don't know what kind they are. They're very slender. They're not like cat mushrooms where you,
Mhm.
I don't know. It's
The portobello.
just derailed me. It's like, it's not the huge portobellos, and it's not the like cat mushrooms that you'd like put in an omelet. They're like they're more natural.
In between.
Okay.
I don't know, guys.
I believe you, even though I have no
They're the
idea what you're
trippy
talking
mushrooms.
Let's see, the Willy Wyvern. My question is the Legion of Superheroes. Why are the Legion of Superheroes always needing to time travel to get help with the Fatal Five in various incarnations? So just there's like, I assume this is because there's like hundreds of Legion of Superheroes kids, but there's only 5 of those guys, and they always have to time travel to get help.
Oh yeah. Wait, just with the Fatal Five specifically, or
Well,
with?
it's like, I think it's
It happened in
both,
JLU.
Yeah, both
Far From
DCAU
Home.
Fatal Five appearances, they need time travel to defeat
Right.
them.
Well, Justice League Unlimited, it's we fully lost.
Yes.
Everybody's been captured, but just a couple of us.
Yes.
And in Fatal Five, it's the bad guys time traveled, so we had to go see what they're up to. So they're a little different in that way, but I just think that's the fun of it. They're
Yeah.
time.
I mean, every Legion of Superheroes, most Legion of Superheroes stuff deals with time travel because, like, Superboy's there in the original comics. He's not, you know.
You know,
That's
I
the
love
whole
I
point.
love the space opera stuff, which is like much more of it. Like the vast majority of it is just like them going to different planets and going to space and stuff. But when you're just starting out with them, you want that time travel.
Mhm.
Yeah. Are you keeping up with the Brian Michael Bendis series that's happening right now?
I'm a few issues behind, but I was reading it.
Yeah.
That was
It's a lot of fun. I like
love
seeing the
doing it.
DC elements, like Aquaman's trident and stuff, like
Mhm.
reappearing 1,000 years in the future.
that's what he's doing a really good job of. Is usually you get one or the
Right.
other. You get like an extremely time traveling Legion of Superhero story where it's all about them going back or someone going forward, or then you get ones where it's as if it's just Star Wars. It's just like
Yeah.
and we're mostly living in the future in the 31st century. We're mostly just dealing with space opera stuff. But here's the trident, and we can bring what are these oceans that it's bringing in, and like bring in Damien for one issue, and like
Mhm.
there's just different random stuff that keeps happening in there that brings in the history of it that I think is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun so far.
We got Wowie931. Hey, do you have any tips and tricks to writing characters and making them unique in context in DCAU context? So I guess like taking original, like other DC characters that haven't been in the DCAU and adapting them.
Some people will say that I didn't because they curse in this, and it bothers some people quite a lot.
Fart
And-
nuggets is not a curse word.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very, very bad. Nuggets is you don't want to know what it means. No, it's there's an energy to the DCAU that is very specific.
Good job,
if
Robin.
you grew up watching it, you kind of know it when you hear it, when the characters sound right. Especially when Dwayne McDuffie was writing these characters, they were very familiar with each other. They used each other's civilian names. They ribbed each other a lot, and it just made them feel like they were a team that had been working together for a long time. And so if you can find those little moments where just in an exchange of dialogue that would just normally be about like, hey, we're measuring the tachyon particles on this thing that came from the future, maybe like. There's a lot of dialogue that's just going to be like science talk and
Technobabble.
superhero talk. And if you can inject something human into that and have them interact with each other in a way that shows like, oh, they're friends. I'm kind of thinking now in Fatal 5 of the moment when Batman is just extremely on task when they're doing their little Watchtower scene, and Superman is like, yeah, I'm actually in quite a lot of pain, but
Thanks for,
they're friends, they know each other.
Yeah.
So when you bring in new characters into that, even if the audience has never seen Miss Martian and Batman together, you want them to feel like they had a history before the movie started. Same with Jessica and Diana. Like, you just want them to all feel like they were running before the movie started and we just turned the cameras on.
It's why Batman knew Hawkgirl in
right.
That's right.
in Secret Origins.
Yeah,
wait,
it's super
Despite the fact
helpful.
we never saw her.
It's super helpful when you only have 75 or 70 minutes for one of these movies, or 22 minutes for a cartoon episode. Like, you gotta just kind of jump into it.
I always thought that was cool for the Fatal Five movie because you're revisiting Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, and even though it's only been like a year or so after the cartoon in their time, in our time, it's been 15, 16 years or something, and so the jumping back in with the version of the Trinity that it's like they're established in this universe, not the version they're just, oh, who's the rookie in the tiara and all that kind of stuff to each other was a lot of fun. I think it's a different dynamic than we're used to on the show. So
it would almost feel weird to go back to that, early days in a universe you've spent so much time in. Like, you sort of want to keep feeling like time is moving forward for these people.
Crimson Tie again. When do these four write a DCAU movie? When you bring us on this
we pitched a lot of ideas.
Listen, nobody's called me to do another one yet, so we gotta get that happening first.
That's true.
And then your cameo comes is what we're talking here.
Do that hashtag jail reunion.
Yeah, I had a pitch for the jail reunion movie, but it was on one of our podcast episodes to literally be called Justice League Reunion, and it's set however much time has actually passed since the cartoon ended, and they're all kind of jaded and they've kind of broken up, and they have to get back together for one last thing.
Gotta get the band back together.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting
Except they can't get Batman out of
Right.
the cave since.
Yeah. Right. All right, we got a handful more questions. I'm going to try to shoot through these real fast in the last 10-ish minutes here. Saz for Cheese, he asked a few, but I'm going to go ahead and skip the couple that we've already covered. If you were attached to another DCAU, what would you do? What would you prefer, like a series or a sequel to movie?
Oh, like an animated TV show?
Mm-hmm.
I think...
Which has more money?
You know what? It's not that. It's not the workload. I would probably go, if I got to choose, I would probably go TV show so that you could spend a little bit more time with characters. I love these movies. I've always loved these movies. But you always end up wanting more. You always end up going, I could just do a little bit more with these people. So I'd go TV show.
I will say, if it were a TV show, there's also room for more writers to come on board, and then Crimson Tide will get what he wanted of the four of us
in here. The other thing is, in a TV show, you can also have time for smaller stories too. Like on Fatal Five, I was trying to make the story as small as possible, even when the sun was at stake. I was like, if it can be two people up there, I will be happy. And it was the same with, when I was on Supergirl, like, a lot of big stuff happens in Supergirl, but I just always wanted to write, the sisters on the couch, or it's like and in a TV show you have a little bit more time.
You wanted to write a comfort and joy with star-crossed stakes.
I swear to you, I would have written an entire 70 minutes of just Jessica talking to her therapist, and talking to Wonder Woman, and getting advice from people,
sitting there,
like bringing your hand, doing the little kneading thing. Yeah, I would have done 70 minutes of just drama, just straight sad drama.
I can't believe I'm going to ask this question, but Bob the Random Guy, he brought up everybody has been half joking, half serious, or maybe more serious than most, asking us to do a Legacies of the DCAU issue about Giganta and the Atom. And Bob wants to know how you feel about this.
Job,
the premise that they want is basically Giganta eating the Atom, and then things evolve from there. So
is it the dark corners of the internet thing, or is
this is a little bit on
it's absolutely
well, I think Harley Quinn a little bit beats to it.
Yeah. Okay.
They have a whole Giganta thing, and at one point, he's like, "Put me in your. Can you put me in your pocket?" And he's, "What? I've got a thing. I've got a type." Like he likes big giant ladies.
Yeah, we can get off of that subject.
I can handle it well.
he had a different question too that I saw go by. He asked if you would consider Martian Manhunter a stretchy guy, like how Elongated Man and Plastic Man are stretchy guys. Would you put Jean in that category?
Here's the thing. Technically, he is a stretchy guy. He stretches into different shapes.
And he's a guy.
But you don't think of him as a Mr. Fantastic. You don't think of him as a Plastic Man or a Dibney type. So I would say, like, if you're putting him in, if you're filing him, you do not file him under stretchy guys. But technically, if you really want to split hairs about it, he's a stretchy guy.
Crimson Tide is asking again about you writing for minority groups in Supergirl. Do you have any knowledge of whether you are returning to Supergirl or maybe the Superman and Lois show or anything like that?
Oh no! Well, I did not work on this past season of Supergirl. So I worked on season 2, season 3, season 4, and then TV contracts are 3 years. So I was thinking about re-upping, and then ultimately I was like, I kind of want to do a show of my own and go work with Kevin on Masters of the Universe and go do this different stuff. And so I, with much sadness in my heart, left the show. So it's been going a little bit without me. They seem to have survived without me, which I'm a little insulted about. So no plans to go back or anything, but I still love everybody involved in that cast.
Are they back to shooting now? Do you know the pandemic? I haven't been keeping up with the CW.
I don't think they've started. I feel like a lot of the CW stuff is supposed to start soon. But I
know Riverdale just started back.
Okay, so yeah.
Well, they're right next to the Supergirl studios, so that might mean Supergirl starting up.
But yeah, on top of his Supergirl question, he also asked, "What's it like writing for minority groups, gay, trans, POC, etc.?"
I mean, I think it's super important to do. I think it's something that like hasn't been done enough. It's important for me, just because half of my family is from Chile, and so it's nice for me to get a Jessica Cruz into a show. But it's part of this. Like, we did a whole segment for the Fatal 5 release that was like, why diversity in superhero entertainment is so important. And it's kind of the same reason the mental health thing was important. It's like, this is a medium that's like aspirational. It's people at their best trying to inspire other people to do their best. And so that the Justice League and the heroes that you're talking about should reflect the actual world. And more importantly, hopefully, the attitudes you have within those shows and movies is as progressive as you want Superman to be, as progressive as you want these characters to be. Like, you get more story out of it, you get newness out of it. And the only thing you have to do is hire people of color where you can to tell the stories properly. And if you are not, or maybe you are a POC writer on one of these shows and you're writing about someone who's not your family, who's not your skin color, who's not your background, writing is empathy and writing is research. So it's doing your homework and asking people and making sure you get it right and doing your best.
Hashtag the Cleveland Show.
Absolutely.
Robert is back. He asked, why did you give Portland too many bridges at the wrong time period?
Is Robert my brother, or is this?
No, this is one of our.
This is who James was calling radical meatballs earlier.
Okay. Why did I give Portland too many bridges? At time of writing, Portland had that many bridges. At time of setting, probably incorrect. At time of now,
this is the DCAU Portland. It's different, yeah.
Yes, it was correct at the time I wrote it, I think.
I was
he wanted to give us a gag to start that video off with.
Obviously.
As someone who lives only a couple hours away from Portland, I was just not expecting it in the movie. I was ecstatic to hear Kevin Conroy go, Portland, Oregon. And like, oh, what? Excuse me?
The other thing I wanted was
Close.
I wanted to hear Batman say Portland, Oregon, and it's always like a city. It's always like a shining, like crazy metropolitan, usually East Coast.
I love that this is like straight up Portland. It's got food carts. It's got all these guys in beanies walking around.
It's got protesters.
Yeah, God.
I just wanted a bunch of like coffee stuff, and I don't know. It was probably a rights issue for the art, but like at one point in the script, Starboy got thrown into the Keep Portland Weird tourist wall and scattered a bunch of tourists, and like.
That wasn't fun.
You know, it was like there's a lot of fun to having a superhero fight that happens in around low-rise buildings. Like, it's a different vibe.
I'm seeing a question from BlazeWolf891 who's asking. So Harley Quinn became a good guy in the end of Batman and Harley Quinn. What made you decide to put her back in?
She's struggling. I believe in Harvey Dent. She's struggling. We know she's always struggling because of
it always comes back to Joker. It always comes back to Return of the Joker. Yeah,
Return of the Joker thing a little bit. But I just think like for me, Ivy's gonna keep ending up back there, and I think on some level, Harley just wants to be close to Ivy. That's what I think.
That's a good answer. Bob was asking, can Rubber Band Man join the Justice League, or is that one stretchy guy too many?
I think Rubber Band also not a stretchy.
He's more a fluid sort of a guy.
He's elastic.
He's rubber. Let's see. We got probably time for maybe two more. Low Jaxer. Did you know your writing has brought many of us joy and respect for your work?
Oh my God!
What a good trivia.
End on this one. End on a.
We're gonna do another Vor question after this.
There was one. I mean, there was one question. I can't remember. There were like gotcha questions at the panel at WonderCon.
Well, actually, here's one that I will end on. How nice is Bruce Timm in real life?
He is awesome, and I was super intimidated to meet him because he just sort of seems in like videos and stuff, like especially when he's being interviewed, that he just is very serious, or that he's like a very like serious artist type. Plus, I was intimidated by just the body of work and how I'd grown up watching his stuff. And then I met him, and he was the loveliest dude. He was so nice from the very start. He was very excited about what we were doing, and he was thrilling to work with. And we sat and broke this story for this in like an hour or two, and we were just like acting out battles and jumping out of couches and stuff. And I was like, "Oh, you're great!" Like I was like actually kind of scared to come in here and meet you, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't what I got. He's very nice.
Well, I mean, in his defense, a lot of those video interviews, they're asking him silly stuff. So,
Gotcha questions.
Yeah.
And then having
good job,
I sat through, and mostly I felt like we got good questions, but a lot of them are just like, well, I don't know, we did it because we thought it was fun. I don't know. But
we always feel like watching interviews with him and doing videos where we have to quote him and stuff like that. We always feel like we get him sort of to a point where like, we're involved in the fan base enough to where we understand, like, that's frustrating, that's a stupid question, that kind of thing. But then when we get to, if we ever had the chance to talk to him, I'm sure
we'd feel exactly the same
we
as
would
you
just,
when you have a real conversation with him too, like, trust me, I did not talk about Miss Martian's backstory with him. I did not, bog him down with my own personal like headcanon stuff. Like that.
You took him out for mushroom tacos, and that was it.
Right.
Like sealed our friendship. It's just like those things are also like. I think he does very well at them, especially for someone who's like getting the kinds of questions that someone like him is getting. Mm-hmm. But like those are just exhausting. Those roundtables where you're just like because you're one after the other. Like you go down a carpet and they're taking pictures of you and people are shouting questions at you. And then when you get to the end of it, there's a bunch of tables set up with different bloggers and different websites and stuff, and they all ask you roundtable questions very quickly. And so it's very easy. You're stressed out. You're like, I'm going to say the wrong thing for sure.
Well, that's one of the experiences we hope to have with you guys, at some point is one of those cons that we were going to go to like 2 or 3 cons this year, and that obviously didn't happen. And
WonderCon in San Diego.
Yeah, it's moments, it's interviews like those that we feel are the most like, someone's just asking like, what's the experience writing Batman to Bruce Timm? Like, ask a question that we don't know the answer to. I want to hear answers to stuff.
Like the number of times, and it's because he's being asked the same question, but like the number of times I've heard Kevin Conroy tell his like first Batman stories, like from the early days of getting
Mark
the job.
Hamill and I were watching. Did you know this was going to be that whole thing?
do you like working, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy? Do you like working together?
Yeah.
They're like,
no.
It's honestly at this point, like the amount of interviews we've watched with him, like so much of it sounds rehearsed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and like
1,000 times, yeah.
the people asking it like aren't going to know that like it's the same answer that he gave 2 days ago at a different con, by any means. But
and some of it is also like those are your things you're allowed to say or approved to say too. They are kind of sometimes steering you to say the same thing over and over again. But I always feel bad. Like I feel like I want the experience to be at least a little personalized for whoever's talking. Like,
and that's why we're doing this.
I was gonna say, I'm glad that we get to personalize the questions for you, like the Giganta and Adam question. No one else is gonna ask you that. So
I hope not.
Well, we gotta wrap this up. Thank you, Eric, so much for being here. We're selfishly. Yes, I said that right this time. I almost said selflessly.
You did say it right this time.
We're selfishly asking everybody to tell the audience why they should subscribe to the Watchtower Database, because we're trying to get to a nice bump in subscribers would be nice during this.
I mean, this should do it. You guys are earning it with 24 hours.
I hope so.
Right?
I loved this channel before I ever got interviewed on it, and watched it before and during Fatal 5. It's a good resource. It's funny. You get some pretty damn high production values on the videos. Very, very well edited. And
that's all James.
It's so, I mean, they're so good. But they're also like, there's something so thrilling about something so specific. There's just nothing better than a truly specific place where people who love the exact same thing in a very niche way can come and actually have a place to talk about it. So that's my pitch for you on Watchtower Database.
Thank you. If anything, I try. That's my goals in life, are to be niche and to be pedantic. So I think it's working out very well.
You are those two things.
This is for everybody who would like, go get the Justice League Happy Meal placemats and read them and try to figure out.
You were supposed to show those to us.
I know. I couldn't find them. I have like so much.
That's okay.
Somewhere in the, but like I remember poring over the terrible Comic Sans website and trying to get bios for the characters and looking at the different model turnarounds and like. This does that and then some. So.
Well, good. Yeah, I had the whole thick binder. I printed out the entire website and would read through it all the time. So.
Yeah, we printed them and went through it, turned it into like case files and like
Awesome.
See, and while y'all nerds were doing that, I was on the Toonami website just playing Dragon Ball Z Flash games.
Oh, that's not nerdy at all, man. Well, thank you again, Eric, for joining us today. Anyone watching, please subscribe to the Watchtower Database on YouTube. I'm probably all 100 of you that are still here are already subscribed, but go out, find other people to subscribe, tell them about how high the production value is. Thank you, Eric. And I'm sure we'll have you back on hundreds more times. You make a cameo in the Ranthanagar War, sort of. We quote your tweets at us, so like we always do.
I hope to work on some stuff that can supply you guys with more material soon.
Please do.
I mean, I can make a whole video out of your Wonder Woman cut plot line, I think. So
we can extrapolate.
Yes.